Hello and welcome to That Shooting Show. My name's Steve Anderson. I am your humble host. We don't have a lot of time today because I have a meeting with Lanny Basham starting in 30 minutes. If you know that name, you'll be just as excited as I am. So we're going to thank our partners first. You know them, you love them. Walther Firearms, featuring the 30-day money-back guarantee on all of the Walther competition-appropriate competition pistols you can wrap your little hands around. Feature a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you get one of these newfangled Walthers, you don't like it for any reason, that'll be your fault, but Walther doesn't care. You will still get a full refund within 30 days. They'll pay for the shipping, they'll take that sucker back, and they'll send it to me or Jay Beal, and we will do what it is supposed to do. So, also, Targets USA, as you know, manufactures the finest steel targetry on the planet. CR Speed, as you know, manufactures the finest gun handling gadgetry you can wrap around your waist or anywhere else. Hunters HD Hunters HD Gold, as you know, is the only eyewear that I wear. And of course, the AMG-Lab.com Commanderson timer continues to turn heads and blow minds by putting the time into the tablet. OutdoorDynamics.net remanufactures the finest competition ammunition you can dispense from a Freedom Seed dispenser. And of course, ShootingSportsInnovations.com is a lot to type because there's a lot to see. ShootingSportsInnovations.com. If you're driving your car, go ahead and pull over real quick. Imagine there's a cop behind you and see if you can type out ShootingSportsInnovations.com the first time on your phone. Pull over first. It's pretty difficult to do, and that's because it's pretty difficult to imagine how much cool stuff you're going to see when you get there. If you go to AndersonShooting.com and click upcoming classes, you can see we've added a bunch of stuff here recently. We got 2 classes coming up with Joey Sauerland, the complete practical shooter, an immersive experience, mental, physical, technical, all of it. These classes we do with Joey cover everything you need to know to reach your potential. There's one in Richmond, Virginia you can check out, and we just added one in Michigan that you can check out. And we added one with me at North Carolina in July. So go to AndersonShooting.com, upcoming classes. You can also see the current online mental management opportunities at that same location. I got a letter for you from a recent mental management graduate. And it says, Steve, I had multiple personal bests this weekend at the GSSF match in Dawsonville, Georgia, including a smoking plate rack run. 2.69 seconds clean first string. At the line on Are You Ready? I smiled and thought pancakes. Now, why in the world would a guy think about pancakes prior to shooting? Why would he do that? Why wouldn't he think about his presentation or hitting the plates? Why would he think about pancakes? Well, if you've been listening to this program for very long, that's not news to you at all. This weekend was my first time shooting my new-to-me secondhand Burris Fast Fire Red Dot on my G34. Installed it last Saturday and had 1-0 in session at an indoor range on Monday. My MOS entry with it on Friday was a bit lackluster, but still one of my best overall times. I shot this unlimited run after serving as an RO all day Friday. My mental state was pretty much a let's see what happens. So when you're thinking about the results, let's see what happens is pretty powerful. And I got one more letter I want to share with you here. Let me just find it. Okay, I'm really happy with this one. Hey, Steve, this comes from our silhouette shooters in Wyoming. This is the range owner. Hey, Steve, wanted to drop you a note telling you how much you helped me and how much I appreciated it. Yesterday, we had our first March Winter Series match, and I was able to put together nearly everything you taught us and shoot very well to win the match. I have not had that much fun shooting in some time. I have not had that much fun shooting in some time. I'm dutifully completing my shooting journal before and after every match, and it is truly amazing what it does for me. Now, this guy's wife's name is Coralie. Coralie also shot super yesterday. She actually completed her last Grandmaster score needed to move her into Grandmaster. She is the first woman in our sport to have successfully shot into Grandmaster class. There are a couple of others that have declared themselves Grandmaster, which is legal, but she is the only one to have earned it. Pretty awesome. She's been close several times, but would choke under the pressure when she got close. I believe your help is what got her over the hump. So, understanding pressure, understanding what it does, being ready for it, not trying to fight it, but knowing that it's going to happen and being ready for it is one of the main things we teach in mental management. You can't stop pressure. You can't reason with it. You can't make it go away. You can't ignore it. But you can use it to your advantage. And if you are affiliated with any other sport, if you've got a kid who's in athletics, I want to help people reach their goals using mental management. I had so much fun branching out into rifle silhouette shooting with mental management, and the results speak for themselves. All right, because we don't have a ton of time today, we got to get into the topic, and that is 6 drills for dramatic improvement. Number 1, you got to understand why you're practicing. Why are you practicing? Well, I'm practicing to get better. Yes, you are. But what you're really seeking to do is make a higher level of skill available without conscious thought. That should be your goal. A higher, new and improved level of skill that's available to you without conscious thought. This is obviously the definition of subconscious skill. This is obviously when you shoot your best, even if you don't know it. This allows you to reach the holy grail of shooting without thinking. Now, anytime you're trying to get a skill to a new and improved level available without conscious thought, this does require a high number of reps. And the quantity of your reps trumps quality as long as quality is acceptable. You're telling me to go out there and just practice sloppy? Nope, it's not what I said. I said that a high number of acceptable reps is better than a low number of perfect reps. That's what I'm saying. And any change you're making to technique will require a very high number of reps. You guys that moved your holsters in your mag pouches, you know this. Because when you moved your holsters in your mag pouches, you were looking for holsters and mag pouches in places they ain't going to be no more. You're looking for them where they used to be. Well, they're not there anymore. That's because subconscious skill had them in one location, you moved them, and now subconscious skill has them in a different location. So any change to any skill is going to require a high number of reps. Your opinion of this process determines how quickly you will get access to this skill. So if you're practicing and you're thinking, boy, this is still stinking. This is still an excrement presentation live in poo-poo point. PowerPoint, excrement presentation. Make your own jokes. Well, I already did. Too late. So if you think this isn't working, that's going to delay your access to that skill. But if you think, hey, I'm getting better at this, hey, this is going pretty good, then you're going to get access to that skill sooner. If you don't believe me, go try it. Number 2, you have got to learn to call your shots. It is the most important skill in shooting, and it turbocharges speed mode practice in dry and live fire. We spend hours on this in every class that I do. If you come to class, you will either learn to call your shots or at least understand how to work on it and how to get there. I'm just telling you, if you don't believe me that calling shots is the most important skill in the sport, then you're probably practicing doubles. Sorry, I couldn't resist. But let's say you are practicing doubles. Shot calling is still the most important skill you can have. If you're going to get that perfect grip, if you're going to get 12% more pressure in your pinky, you're going to rotate your wrist, you're going to do everything correctly, shot calling still tells you where those are going. And if you think you can rip splits at 25 yards without seeing a second sight picture, I'll be seeing you in class very soon, I hope. And then I want you to practice match mode shooting. You can do it dry and you can do it live. If you're doing it live, set up a stage, treat it like a match, give yourself a walkthrough, give yourself the range commands, shoot it for score, and then change it. It's that simple. In dry fire, you're going to do something for some amount of seconds, 10, 20, 30, 40. Well, I usually go from 10 to 30. You can go further if you want. But all you're doing here in dry fire is you're measuring your ability to leave only acceptable shots without consciously slowing down. That is the definition of match mode shooting, leaving only acceptable shots without consciously slowing down. And if you don't have any makeups, then one of two things has likely happened. You're either not paying attention or you've slowed down to get your hits. True match mode dry fire, true match mode live fire will eventually have a makeup shot. And the biggest misconception of match mode and live fire and dry fire is that we're consciously slowing down. I never said anything about consciously slowing down. Now, the right amount of visual patience to leave only acceptable shots will result in a slightly slower pace than hair on fire squirrel mode. But that's not set at the speed knob. That's the vision determining that. The other thing you can do is experiment with a singular focus or a singular objective. Remember the guy thinking about pancakes, talking about pancakes? What he's doing there is he's giving his conscious mind something to think about or be occupied by to get access to subconscious skill. If you're a mental management graduate, I want you to use your mental management flowchart for every run. Do not duplicate the runs in dry fire or live fire when you're really practicing match mode. Your goal isn't to do 3 runs and do it better. Your goal is to test your ability to get up to that line and leave only acceptable shots on demand without the conscious control of speed. And again, this is something that we do over and over and over in class. If you're shooting below your skill level, if you're having trouble with consistency, learning match mode and using mental management is the way to get access to your current level of skill and to create consistency. Now, if we want to break down some individual skills, let's assume we know how to call our shots, and let's assume we can get into match mode. And I would say without those 2 pieces, a lot of technical practice is not going to help you very much. Yeah, that's what I said. Until you can get into match mode on demand and or call your shots, a lot of technical training is probably just going to frustrate you, because you won't be able to get access to it on demand. If you're interested in a snap of your first shot, either for a classifier or a steel challenge or whatever, this won't apply to steel challenge, obviously, but with wrist below your belt, you want to set your shoulder with your hand on your holstered gun. And then as you remove your hand from the gun, make note of where that shoulder is. That's a great place for that shoulder to be and stay. With wrists above shoulders, you want your elbow behind the gun for your gun hand and your hands in a repeatable position. If you ever hit the beaver tail, that's because your elbow's not behind the gun. You got to be really careful getting over that beaver tail. But if you start with your gun hand elbow behind the gun, it is impossible to hit the beaver tail with a good holster position. So try that. Strong hand only. You want to make sure your strong foot is forward, either at the beginning or the end of that draw stroke. You can either start with your strong hand foot forward, or you can drag your weak hand foot back. I wouldn't recommend stepping forward with the strong hand foot. Either start with the strong hand foot in front, which is probably technically better, or drag the weak foot back on the presentation. Some people report that it's easier to find the dot if they start normal and drag in a right-hander shooter's case, drag the left foot back. Okay? Support hand only, super easy, normal draw, normal grip. Pull the heel of the hand away from the gun to make room for the support hand to get in there. That's much better than bottom grabbing, side swiping, optic grabbing, or any other things that we see. Literally normal draw, normal grip. Move the meat of the hand out of the way. You'll probably want to go around the beaver tail instead of over top, depending on the gun, which makes a great little shelf for the support hand to get in there. A little practice makes that easy. On the turn and draw, we've talked about that numerous times. I'll tell you one more time. With your feet really close together in the top right of the box for a right-handed shooter, all you got to do is kick out your left heel and take a step toward the target while you draw your gun. That's all you got to do. And then dry fire, you're going to draw to an acceptable sight picture with a par time. You're not going to pull the trigger when you're dry firing for a par time because it's too easy to drop the hammer on an imperfect sight picture and condition yourself to drop the hammer as quickly as possible without an acceptable sight picture. So in dry fire, you're going to draw to an acceptable sight picture, safety off, finger on the trigger. Live fire, you're going to shoot for score and then establish a goal for the day. Let's call that a GFD. Now, you're going to draw, shoot a piece of steel or a paper target, get your alpha, get your steel hit, and record your time. And then you're going to establish a goal for the day. Now, the goal for the day is huge. Okay? In live fire, let's say you've got an alpha, 7 yards, 1.2 seconds. The next thing I want you to do is establish your goal for the day. 110, 1 flat, 0.9, whatever you think you can do today. Don't pick a goal that you don't believe you can do today. That's super important. Okay? And then I want you to dry fire it faster than the goal for the day time. You might need to work down in increments. So if your first shot's a 120 and you want to get down to a 90 or a 1 flat, that's great. Dry fire at 110 to an acceptable sight picture with your finger on the trigger. Once you can do that, dry fire to 1 flat with an acceptable sight picture and your finger on the trigger. Dry fire to 0.9. As soon as you're dry firing regularly below your target time, your goal for the day, load the gun. See what happens. You want to do that pretty quickly. You don't want a lot of downtime between the dry fire and loading the gun. When I'm coaching people how to do this, I don't even tell them what's going to happen. At just a certain point, I say, all right, load the gun. And this next part, you're not going to like. If your goal is an alpha at 0.9 and you shoot a Charlie or a Delta or a Mike at 0.85, I want you to rejoice. You won't do it. You won't like it if you do it. But if you have a miss below your target time, I want you to celebrate that. Hey, my dry fire paid off. Hey, I can do this at my target time. Hey, this is going great. Remember when I said your opinion of this process determines how quickly you get access to it? That's what I'm talking about. If you say, I did all this work and I still can't do it. Well, you've only fired 1 shot, hot rod. Let's just do another rep. Celebrate misses at or below your target time. And you got to be careful because increasing speed while maintaining accuracy is virtually impossible. Increasing speed and improving accuracy is impossible. So don't waste your time on those endeavors. Hear me now, hear me later. Anytime you're practicing, either the target's more important, the timer's more important, or the hit factor's more important. And hit factor's really a function of skill and process mixed together. That's a subject we don't have time for today. If you're working on standing reloads, do the Burkett reload from refinement and repetition to reinforce correct angles and seeing the mag well. If you don't see the mag well, you will have a reload success rate less than 100%. It could be 80, 90, 95, but it won't be 100. You see the mag well every time, your success rate will be much closer to 100. Much closer. Anybody who tells you they can reload without seeing the mag well is saying, I have a success rate less than 100%. It's just like most people who do a scoop draw. Oh, it's really fast, but I have a success rate less than 100%. Not everybody, but a lot of them. So on a reload, standing reload, seeing the mag well is imperative. And I really want you to do the Burkett reload in dry fire. In live fire, the best way to do it is 1 reload 1 into the berm. And get your timer running so you don't have to react to it. Go ahead and start the beep. And then whenever you want, do a 1 reload 1 and your split is your reload. Make sure to set a goal for the day so you know when you're done. You're probably not going to go from a 150 to an 85 in one day. So don't make that the goal. But if you're at a 150 for 1 reload 1 into the berm or a very close target, 140, 130, 120, very possible. If you're going to do 1 reload 1 into the berm, you want to focus on releasing the mag as soon as you can. And don't be afraid to shift your grip going for that mag button. It's safer and it's no slower. because if you try to hit that mag button without shifting your grip, the harder you work that thumb to hit that mag button, the more that index finger wants to move. And because of the way you're holding the gun, it's very easy to graze that trigger. So shifting your grip is way safer and no slower. And particularly, well, on anything you're doing here, particularly the reloads, think about doing something sooner instead of doing something faster. Thinking about doing something faster is going to tense you up in a way that thinking about doing something sooner will not. Now, depending on where you're at, you may need to do something a little faster, but starting the activity sooner will get you well on your way very, very quickly. The other thing that's important on a reload is making sure that when you get the new mag, your finger is high and straight on the magazine. If you're on YouTube, so if this is my magazine, I want my finger high and straight. This is very difficult to point. This goes wherever I look. Okay, so if I see the mag well, that's going to go there. If I'm holding it like this, it's much more difficult to steer it where it needs to go. Okay? Moving reloads. You want to make sure you're completing the reload within the first step or two. What you're trying to prevent is loading the gun for the entire length of your movement. If it's a long period of movement, you do not want to be loading that gun the entire time. You want to get that sucker done in the first step or two and then get where you're going. And all you got to do for moving reload is set up a repeatable drill to track par times. And make the shooting easy so you can focus on the reload. Make the shooting easy so you can focus on the reload. And then when we're talking about movement, I want you to examine every movement drill for some kind of contribution to leaving. Every position has a contribution to leaving with varying levels of aggression. This is far more important than foot speed. And there are three. Right foot, left foot, lean. Okay? If you're leaving a position, you can pick up your right foot as you're firing your final shot or shots. You can pick up your left foot as you are firing your final shots. You can lean a little bit. Every situation will be a little bit different. Sometimes it'll just be a weight shift. Other times you can pick up that foot. But the foot should always stay pretty low to the ground. You're not looking for Captain Morgan here. You're looking to be a centipede getting 1 foot out of 100 moving in the right direction. In your case, you're a biped, not a centipede. And your only goal is to transport the gun from the old firing position to the new firing position. The feet and the body merely support this goal. So if you've got a movement drill you're looking at, take a look. Okay, my gun needs to be here to fire shot A. My gun needs to be here to fire shot B. How can I transport this firearm in the most efficient way from this place to this place? Your feet and body merely support that. We need some kind of contribution to leaving, and we need to make absolutely certain that you are ready to shoot when the gun gets to the new target. This is way more important than foot speed. And for the love of Pete, if you don't know the shuffle step for short periods of lateral movement, it is mandatory. Mandatory. And we spend about an hour and a half on the shuffle step in all the classes that we do to make it normal. The great thing about the shuffle step is once you learn it, you can practice it around the house. You can shuffle from the coffee maker to the mugs. You can shuffle over into the sink. You can shuffle over to the microwave. You can shuffle all over the place. And it will become your normal method for short periods of lateral movement, which is most of the sport. And then once you've been working on this stuff for a while, you can begin to look for a contribution to leaving in stages. This contribution to leaving may determine the final target. Okay? Classifiers with movement are ideal to practice this. Not because you're practicing classifiers, but because you can see how well your technique would score. Hey, this is how a master does this. Hey, this is how a grandmaster does this. It's a great thing to do. And you still want to shoot for score, set a goal for the day, dry fire, and then shoot for score. And this is a process that we can absolutely show you in class. We'll show you how to practice this stuff over and over and over. The other thing you're going to learn is how to shoot partials in the center of the available target area. The center of the available target area is frequently bigger than the A zone and is much less risky. Oh, you're telling me to go out and shoot Charlies and Deltas? It's not what I said. Even if you did get a Charlie and Delta, compare that to Alpha Mike no shoot. It's still better. If you don't believe me, set up a live fire and compare the hit factors. Close, medium, far partials. Shoot alphas, and then shoot the center of the available target area. I would bet, number one, if you're shooting alphas, you're eventually going to have a Mike and a no shoot. That renders the whole comparison moot. Not mute, but moot. And the vast majority of the time, for most shooters, the center of the available target area always yields a higher hit factor. All right, now we're going to finish up here with dog noise and kid noise because the pod daughter's home from school. Do you want to say hi, or are you too cool?
I'm too cool.
She's too cool to say hi anymore. Very moderate dog noise, very moderate pod daughter noise. So if you don't believe me on shooting partials in the center of the available target area, we will absolutely show you that in class. And you can try that while you're standing and moving. When you get comfortable shooting partials in the center of the available target area, that does mean the center of the available brown. Sometimes people think it means the A zone. It doesn't. It means if you're looking at a partial and it's got a brown target beside it, you're going to shoot in the center of the brown, not trying to hug the A zone. You can try it standing and you can try it moving. And it will be my absolute pleasure to show you all of these things and more when you come to one of our classes. And until we meet, and please remember to go to andersonshooting.com and check upcoming classes for your chance to experience all of this in the first person. I guarantee you will have the best time. So we meet again on the range, on the Zoom, on the phone, or anywhere else. Be like me, do what I do. Say it with me. 1, 2, 3. Say it with me, pod daughter.
Get to work.
Oh, she did it. Get to work.